Shirley Chisholm was a trailblazing politician that is credited as the first black woman to be elected to Congress, not to mention she later became the first black woman to run for president. By refusing to compromise with the conflicts she faced, Shirley Chisholm relayed the message that with enough courage, anyone has the ability to overcome discrimination. The historical icon was born on November 30th, 1924 in Brooklyn, New York. It has been noted that ever since she was a child, charisma and courage were always prominent in her personality. After college, Chisholm decided to seek a career in politics. At the time, sexism and racism were raging forms of discrimination. The idea of a black woman partaking in national politics was unheard of. Being that Shirley Chisholm didn't take no for an answer, she decided to run for the House of Representatives in 1968.
And Shirley said, "David?" I said, "Yeah, Shirley." She said, "I'm going to be the first black woman in Congress." I said, "All right, if you say so." But I didn't believe she was going to achieve it.
Aware of the conflicts and obstacles she would face, Chisholm persevered. To emphasize her outspoken spirit, her campaign slogan was "Unbought and Unbossed." She stayed true to this powerful phrase while refusing to suppress to her antagonists. Shirley Chisholm took a very sincere approach of gaining support by going person to person, door to door, and shaking one hand at a time.
I really didn't think Shirley would win, but she went out and knocked on doors.
Shirley went out in the street and lined up the voters. It was an upset when she won the primary. But Shirley was the power. Shirley was one who knew how to get out in the street and talk to people. And she was always talking like one of the people.
Despite her disapproval, she ultimately secured a spot in the House of Representatives, winning the election by a resounding 67% of the vote. At this moment, Shirley Chisholm made history by becoming the first black woman to be elected to Congress. The battle didn't end there. Her welcoming to the House was anything but warm.
For the first 2 to 3 months, I was miserable. The gentlemen did not pay me any mind at all. When I would go to the lunchroom to eat, they would not sit at the same table as I did because I was a black woman. It was horrible.
She withstood the daily conflicts within Congress and refused to let anyone get in her way. Chisholm continued to serve another 7 terms in the House of Representatives, yet among her biggest conflicts was sexism.
If anybody would ask me, well, what was the greatest thing that stood in your way of trying to really move up politically, I would have to say men. They gave me a hard time because they said one thing about Shirley Chisholm: she's too darn outspoken. Yes. They tried to keep me down, keep me back. They used all kinds of tactics. But the thing about it, I was never afraid of men. They said, we can't have a meeting. We don't even invite her to the meetings. And here she comes. She heard that we were having a meeting. She wanted to say hello. But it wasn't that. I knew that they were having a meeting, and I wanted to invade their premises. You see? And find out what was going on. And I would invade. And when they saw me coming, they almost dropped dead.
As if being elected to Congress wasn't impactful enough, she decided to take on the feat of breaking the glass ceiling. In 1972, Shirley Chisholm chose to continue her trailblazing mission of denying compromise by running for President of the United States.
I stand before you today as a candidate for the Democratic nomination for the presidency of the United States of America. I am not the candidate of Black America, although I am black and proud. I am not the candidate of the women's movement of this country, although I am a woman and I'm equally proud of that. I am the candidate of the people of America.
Regardless of her conflicts, Shirley Chisholm refused to subside with her oppression, and as a result, she became the first black woman to make a bid for a major party in the presidential election.
So I realize that this is a rough road, but a catalyst for change in a society
is usually persona non grata with those who have been the beneficiaries of the system. A Catalyst for Change has to be able to withstand the insults, the humiliations, the abuses, and the slurs. What's wrong with my running for president of this country? After all, for 15 years, I have been the ghostwriter for a lot of them.
Shut our eyes on this number, I see numbers. Black and white world computers, I am colored.
What made you decide to do this, to run for president of the United States?
What made me decide was that I felt that the time had come when a black person or a female person could and should be president of these United States of America, not only white males. And I decided somebody had to get it started.
Perhaps the most compelling aspect of her run was the fact that she didn't expect to win, but she took the leap anyway in an attempt to break the glass ceiling.
Oh, I think it's quite well known that I don't enter most things with the blessings of any party. I think it's quite well known. Anybody who's followed my political career knows very, very keenly that I am the only unbought and unbossed politician. And I mean that literally. And I think that you have to recognize that because I am not white and because I'm not a male, that I am not going to get the blessings of the power structure in this country. I remember that the disagreement really centered around a basic fact in American society, and that fact was women versus women versus men.
I know they say call for you all, but in my mind,
thinking about that campaign, it was a heroic failure. And she didn't expect to win, you know, but I call it a heroic failure because she dared to do it.
Withheld by the social climate at the time, Shirley Chisholm failed to secure the nomination, but she did receive a respectable 10% of the votes at the Democratic Convention. However, the campaign did succeed in giving Chisholm the recognition she deserved. She was later named one of the top 10 most influential women in the world and later awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom by President Barack Obama.
She is a legend in her own right. She's a woman that is very honest and very upright, and that's why she's come to be known as unbought and unbossed.
She was elected. People could envision another black woman being elected to represent them. There's no one, I believe, who's a woman, no one who's a black woman, and no one who's someone of African descent who don't see her as an icon.
Do you wonder what made Shirley something special? For one thing, she galvanized women into believing that a woman should go further. I think women suffer from the same problem that many blacks suffer from. We accepted things as they were. Too often we said, well, we'll make this move slowly but surely. You know, Shirley wasn't buying that. She's going to make that move dramatically and quickly. And she did it. And I think she galvanized people into supporting her. They might not have had the will and the wisdom to do it, but she made them believe it should be done. The fact that Shirley ran for president and didn't win didn't mean anything.
Overall, Shirley Chisholm faced endless conflicts, but she became a historical icon by refusing to compromise with her obstacles. Instead, she forced her antagonists to compromise and respect her pioneering efforts as well as her outspoken attitude. Without Shirley Chisholm, we may have never experienced the election of Barack Obama or the nomination of Hillary Clinton. Her unsurmountable courage has paved the way for future opportunities of women, blacks, and all minorities.
I have never ever had that kind of impact on me as a human being. Not as a woman, not as African American, not as a mother, not as an educator, but as a human being.
I want to be remembered as a catalyst for change in America.
mystery that we're gonna call it victory. We'll be writing history. It's gonna be victory. There'll be signs on top of signs, just so you know that history. It's saying